Well, good morning. Good afternoon, I should say. Thank you to this full room of audience and to those of you joining us virtually. I'm Julie Polanco, and it's my great honor to be the State Historic Preservation Officer in our lovely state of California. We're here today to present the 2021 Governor's Historic Preservation Awards. And I have to say what a delight it is to be in person, to see faces, and to celebrate the work that you and our communities do every day to steward our historic and cultural resources in California. For those of you in attendance and our esteemed guests, we're delighted to see you today. And for those tuning in, thanks so much for joining, and we hope you'll feel as welcome as you are. I'm pleased and honored to welcome and introduce our State Parks Director, Armando Quintero. The fact that our director makes time for this event each year is reflective of the support and active role California State Parks takes in the cause of historic preservation every day. And as the director, he is in charge of hundreds of historic buildings, cultural landscapes, and archaeological properties in the state park system. And State Parks is the parent agency to the Office of Historic Preservation, which tends to the preservation needs of communities throughout our state. We are aided immeasurably by the support of Director Quintero and his amazing staff, and we're all so delighted that he's with us today to share a few words. With that, Director.
Thank you so much, Julie. And you know, when I get an introduction like that, I think like, who are they talking about? I was just saying to the chair of the SHPO council, or rather commission, I'm sorry, see I'm flustered. I was just saying to him that I literally dream about my work at night. And it's a joy to wake up in the morning and reflect on sort of what we all get to partake in this state. It really is incredible. So it's my pleasure to be with you here today. And I would like to extend a warm welcome to some of our appointed and elected officials who are here today. Fred Young, Mayor of the City of Fullerton. Fernando Dutra, who is a councilman for the City of Whittier. And Timothy Rush, who is, thank you, and Timothy Rush, who's Commissioner on the City of Santa Ana's Historic Resources Commission. Is he here? Oh, here you go, right up in front. So good to have you all here with us. I really am, yes. It's amazing to be with you here today to recognize the success of the work done by the people in the room and the importance of the work that they've done in terms of preserving our extraordinary heritage. And the role of doing that really lies with the California State Parks Office of Historic Preservation. And they do not take their job lightly. Thank you to Julie and to her team for their dedication and work in identifying, evaluating, registering, and protecting California's irreplaceable cultural resources. And I'm good. Sorry about that. Oh, here's one. Thanks, Julie. Sorry, that's a bit embarrassing. Just within the state park system, there are 53 historic parks, 22 cultural preserves, 13,000 historic buildings. And by the way, this Saturday, I got to tour the Hearst Castle for the first time, and the team from Hearst Castle is here today, and it was absolutely extraordinary. I'm still sort of reeling with what we saw that day. My wife and I were talking to each other and thinking about the number of human hours that are represented in creating everything that goes into that place and places like that in California. It really is astonishing. And within state parks, there's more than 5 million artifacts and archival documents. There's Indian baskets, historic photographs, and antique railroad cars and more. For those of you who haven't been to the McClellan facility that State Parks has, it is a massive archival facility. And if any of you have seen the movies with Indiana Jones, and there's scenes where they flip on a light and there's stacks that just disappear into darkness, that is exactly what McClellan looks like. It's astonishing. We do recognize, however, that the task of preserving our heritage is far too great for any one state agency to do alone, and we even to be able to do it combined. So in working with communities around the state, it is how we get that work done. Preservation's greatest strength and successes come from the citizens, the public and private, and of all backgrounds coming together, to, as I said, to protect, sustain, and share California's incredible heritage. So this is why we presented the Governor's Historic Preservation Award since 1986. The award is designed to recognize the accomplishments of community-based groups and individuals throughout California, each of whom has worked to preserve the aspects of heritage the aspects of the heritage that it most values. In the 50-plus years that the National Historic Preservation Act has been in place, we've seen the understanding and mission of preservation broaden well beyond the conventional built environment to include the places, the landscapes, the stories, and all of those things that bind people to a unique past, a shared culture, and an enduring heritage. And something that I also just love is there's a continuing sense of discovery as these places are pulled forward. And I have had the extraordinary pleasure in this job of talking with individuals who are talking about how their heritage for the first time is being illuminated to the public. And the level of pride and emotion that appears in those conversations is just incredible. So, along with this broader, diverse vision of historic preservation and our collective heritage of California, in many of the awards that are represented today, there is things such as capturing in a book of bilingual text, original illustrations, and oral history excerpts, the history and human stories behind a site of cultural and artistic significance, the rehabilitation of a building that preserves its historic ties to the past while adaptively reusing it as a much-needed wellness center for a community, the development of a preservation-focused public programming that provides access to the human history behind the creation of some of California's most historic and treasured properties. So we are appreciative of today's awardees and the countless others because their efforts to ensure our collective history is celebrated and commemorated. And we shouldn't waver in our commitment to honor our ancestors for their work and contributions in the hopes that their legacy will inspire our youth and in their efforts to build a better world. You know, one of the things that I have said to my colleagues in state parks is we really have to work to be good ancestors in the work that we do as we carry forward these things that you've worked so hard to protect. So my thanks to each of you for the work that you do, for being here today, and I'd like to have Julie come back up and finish with her comments. Thank you so much.
It's easy to come to work every day with the leadership that you've just heard. We're really so pleased that Director Quintero is with us. I would also like to take the opportunity to express our appreciation to State Librarian Greg Lucas and to his staff for making the library, the Stanley Mosque Library and Courts building, available to us today. It's an excellent example of the benefits and value of preservation. It underwent a major renovation and rehabilitation in 2013 that helped preserve most of which you see in the building, things that have been hidden behind years of alterations, some insensitive, and today the library stands as a testament to the value and importance of saving our treasured resources that are owned on behalf of the state of California, by the state of California on your behalf. We always find it so delightful to be in this room, and what a perfect setting. I'd like to acknowledge that the chairman of the State Historical Resources Commission, Lee Adams, is with us today. He's here in the corner, another great supporter of preservation and a great colleague in this stewardship effort. This award ceremony, also the awards were juried by members of the public. We're always so pleased to try to find ways to include a broader setting of our public in the work that we do, and so we invite a handful of members of our communities to join us. Mary Lopez Kiefer, who is with us today, is a senior tribal advisor counsel to the St. Louis Band of Mission Indians, Alan Hess, who is an architect and on our State Historical Resources Commission, and A.R. Fowler, who is a graduate student at Sac State in History, were members of our committee this year. And Mary, thanks for being with us today. Alan, Mary, and A.R. provided thoughtful and informed recommendations to the governor that were central in selecting the awards today. And it was a tough review. There were so many amazing projects, and so we'll extend congratulations again to you later, but just to say that we're so pleased that you're all here. I'd also like to thank the many sponsors that we have that help us with the awards frames and the refreshments that we'll enjoy afterwards. Our friends at the California Preservation Foundation, the Los Angeles Conservancy, and Save Our Heritage Organization in San Diego continue to help support these awards and do amazing work in preservation for our communities around the state every day, and we're just delighted to have them as partners. The Office of Historic Preservation has overseen these Governor's Awards since their inception 36 years ago in 1986. There are about 7 to 12 awards every year, so you can do the math. But I think for every one of those that get awards, there are so many communities that are doing great things for those that they serve and people with whom they live, play, and recreate. I mean, we're happy to be helping to steward these awards and recognize the efforts. They exist to give praise to those hundreds of private individuals and organizations, public agencies, who do a wide array of important preservation work throughout the state, usually with small or no parts of the recognition that they deserve. The format that we'll go to next is Deputy SHPO Janon Saunders and our tribal advisor will give a short presentation about each project. The recipients of the awards will then be asked to come forward and accept the award and have a group photograph. So we'll gather over here for the photograph first. And then one member of each team will be invited to say a few words at your choice. I should also say that the new CDC recommendations about masks are optional, so feel comfortable to take them off or leave them on as you wish. And then once the presentation of the awards are complete, you'll see that we have some refreshments that we ask you to enjoy, to speak with your fellow awardees and with us and just share in this celebration. I also wanted to acknowledge that in these sort of still COVID, post-COVID times, our refreshments are a little bit more secure in their packaging, so apologize for that. But we wanted to do everything we could to make sure that you were fed and happy and safe. So with that, I'll ask Janon to come up and we'll get started. And again, thank you so much for being with us today.
I always feel like I get the fun part of this. I get to talk about your wonderful projects. All right. We are pleased this year to once again recognize some of the outstanding preservation achievements accomplished throughout California, including our first award recipient, the Pacific Electric Railway Substation 14. Built in Santa Ana in 1907, Substation 14 provided electric power to the extensive streetcar system that served Southern California in the first half of the 20th century. It is the only remaining substation in Orange County and one of the few left in the entire state. Substation 14 closed in 1950, and by the 1980s, it was owned by Santa Ana Unified School District and used as a storage building for Garfield Elementary School. In 2019, with feedback from parents and local leaders, the school district collaborated with agency and community partners to rehabilitate Substation 14 into the Garfield Elementary School Wellness Center, providing low to no cost medical and dental services to the community. The substation's brick walls, wood cladding, windows and doors, and other distinctive features were restored to their original condition. The building's interior open floor plan was retained along with the exposed wood truss system, brick walls, and concrete floor finishes. A new kitchenette was added on the east wall and the aged roof replaced with a new metal roof compatible with the historic industrial character of the building. local residents and leaders attended the rehabilitated substation's grand opening, celebrating a facility that reflects its past while providing services that will serve the community well into the future. Pacific Electric Railway Substation 14 represents a successful adaptive reuse project that preserves a valued historic resource, fosters important partnerships, and tangibly benefits the community that it serves. We are pleased to recognize this project with a 2021 Governor's Historic Preservation Award.
I don't have a lot of remarks to make, but greetings from sunny Southern California and Santa Ana Unified School District. It was a fun project, as you can imagine. It's beautiful at night when it's lit up with the uplights, and this facility serves one of the least affluent members of our community in all of California, one of the poorest zip codes in the United States. And this facility, they didn't have a place to meet as a community, and so it really has made a huge transformation within the community and to be able to give them resources and opportunities, everything from Zumba to classes on, you name it, we actually do classes there, as well as the medical community. We actually work really closely with St. Jude and St. Joseph for a medical community that comes. And so, again, we're humbled to be included with the likes of your projects. I saw the list, and I just am very impressed. But thank you so much for considering our project, and thank you.
There you go. I was just thinking that this building continues to serve power, but a different way. What a delightful thought.
Adaptive reuse was also the focus of Arts District Liberty Station, a rehabilitation project in San Diego. For 70 years, the Naval Training Center Liberty Station, located on more than 200 acres at the north end of San Diego Bay, provided specialized training for recruits of the U.S. Navy and U.S. Naval Reserve and was an integral part of the local community and economy. The Naval Training Center, or NTC, officially closed in 1997, and in 2000, the City of San Diego took ownership of the property with intentions to transform it into a center for commerce, history, and art. The NTC Foundation currently oversees the development of the Arts District portion of Liberty Station. The district comprises 26 historic buildings located on 100 acres of the northern half of the property. The project included rehabilitating the exteriors of the buildings with interiors adapted to the needs of the new tenants. Original stairs, windows, outdoor lighting, internal spaces, and overall spatial relationship of the 26 buildings were restored to original design. The historic character of the property has been preserved, even as the buildings are repurposed in ways that were never intended, such as a missile manufacturing building becoming a dance studio, or a military rec hall becoming a live performing arts theater. Arts District Liberty Station is now home to nearly 145 varied tenants, ranging from restaurants and business spaces to museums and local nonprofits. For adaptively creating new space and opportunities for community life while preserving a place and history long valued by the community, we recognize the Arts District Liberty Station project with the 2021 Governor's Historic Preservation Award.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank the California Office of Historic Preservation for this distinguished award. My name is Judy Nora, and I am the board chair of the NTC Foundation in San Diego. With me today is Lisa Johnson, the president and CEO of the NTC Foundation, Alan Zeider, NTC Foundation executive director, and Christopher Bittner, principal of OBR Architecture. Although this award is going to the Arts District in Liberty Station, it is the NTC Foundation that is the nonprofit organization responsible for the renovation and preservation of 26 historic buildings at what was once the Naval Training Center in San Diego, fondly remembered as NTC. For 75 years, these buildings have housed close to 2 million men and women while they trained for their military service. When the Navy closed the base in 1996, the buildings were designated as the NTC National Historic District for their distinctive Spanish colonial architecture and their contribution to San Diego's Navy heritage. Arts District Liberty Station is a San Diego treasure and a significant community asset, but continues to hold the memories of prior generation of naval recruits. Now these historic buildings have a new mission as Arts District Liberty Station. The NTC Foundation established to oversee the renovation project, which is the largest historic preservation project in San Diego County. Thanks to the remarkable architectural design work and historical preservation knowledge of architect Christopher Bittner and his team from OBR Architecture, the old Navy buildings are being adaptively reused as a new flagship for arts, culture, and creativity in San Diego. The Arts District is now home to art galleries, museums, dance studios, creative offices, and distinctive cafes, while still respecting the historic architecture and legacy of those who have served our military. We invite you to visit the Arts District Liberty Station next time in your San Diego and see for yourself this historic destination. I'm deeply honored to be accepting this award on behalf of the NTC Foundation. Thank you very much.
Preserving a building with strong community ties was also the focus of our next award recipient, the Beckman Instruments Administration Building Rehabilitation Project. In 1953, Arnold O. Beckman selected Fullerton as the site for his new 43-acre headquarters complex. Over the decades, the firm employed thousands of Fullerton residents, becoming a source of community pride and an integral part of Fullerton's post-war economic growth and development. In 2010, the business moved out of Fullerton, and the city took ownership of the site in 2015. Although most of the site was ultimately demolished, the Beckman Administration Building, an early example of mid-century modernism in Fullerton, was retained. The nonprofit Fullerton Heritage successfully nominated the building to the National Register of Historic Places with the enthusiastic support of the Beckman Alumni Association. Western Realco, which purchased the site from the city, had no previous experience adaptively reusing historic buildings, yet they fully committed to preserving the administration building, retaining historic materials and character-defining features throughout the building, as well as the circular drive and east-west courtyards. A.J. Kirkwood and Associates, an engineering firm, purchased the newly restored building, appreciating and valuing its mid-century design and historic significance. Kirkwood installed a bronze interpretive display at the building's entrance, honoring the importance of Beckman instruments and Arnold Beckman in the life of Fullerton. The restoration and reuse of the Beckman building was one of the most successful private-public collaborations in Fullerton's history. The property owner completed a successful adaptive reuse project, the city and local preservationists retained a building important to the community, and A.J. Kirkwood gained an iconic new headquarters. The Beckman Instruments Administration Building Project is well deserving of a 2021 Governor's Historic Preservation Award.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Fred Jung. I'm the mayor of the city of Fullerton. Just got off of a flight that was delayed, so I was thoroughly excited to be here and make it on time to accept this award on behalf of our city, on behalf of Fullerton Heritage. I'll be extraordinarily brief. We are so busy tearing things down, building something new, that every now and then, when things like this, buildings like this, that allow us to have a touchstone to our heritage, to our past, these are remarkable things. They should be preserved, and we should remember them. I am terribly honored to receive this award on behalf of our city, one of the oldest in Orange County, along with Santa Ana, which also received an award. So thank you very much. I'm terribly humbled by this. Thank you.
History, community, and culture are at the heart of most preservation efforts, but preservation doesn't always involve historic buildings. Such is the case with The Spirit of Chicano Park, a children's book that creatively preserves in written form the history and voices of a place rich in cultural importance. Chicano Park, located on land under a canopy of highway overpasses in San Diego, was established by the residents of the Logan Heights neighborhood for the people of San Diego and beyond. The park was created out of a decades-long effort by the community to get a park built in the barrio. A 12-day park takeover in 1970, in which community residents cleared and planted the land, led finally to an agreement with the city and state to build the park. Since then, Chicano Park has earned international recognition as a public art site for its commanding murals of Mexican and Chicano history, and as a symbol of Chicano self-determination. The Spirit of Chicano Park introduces children to the history of the park, with text written in both English and Spanish. Beatriz Zamora, the book's author and an active park supporter for nearly 40 years, worked closely with the Chicano Park Steering Committee, researching numerous historical documents to ensure the accuracy of the book's text. Similarly, illustrator Mayra Meza referenced historic documents and photos to create illustrations that correctly depicted the community and the park. Ms. Zamora interviewed at least 15 individuals involved with the founding and ongoing development of the park, and the words and lives of 12 of those community champions are included in the final section of the book. All net proceeds from the book's sales go to the steering committee to support ongoing care of the murals and the park, as well as development of the new Chicano Park Museum and Cultural Center. The Spirit of Chicano Park was published in April 2020, just in time to mark the 50th anniversary of Chicano Park. It is our pleasure to present this creative, community-centered project with the 2021 Governor's Historic Preservation Award.
Good afternoon. I feel a little bit like a fish out of water here because I'm not an architectural firm or a building firm, but thank you very much to the California Governor Historic Preservation Office and all of the folks who supported us. One of the reasons that I wrote the book is because many times when I'm in the park, I realize that the community doesn't understand the significance of what the park represents. And the park represented people coming together, poor people, people who didn't have a voice, who came together and said, we want a park for our children. And as you saw in the photographs, they took hold of the area, they camped for 12 days, and they prevented a highway patrol substation from being built. And instead, we now have a magnificent park with international recognition and just a wonderful place for families to come and community to gather. And soon, in about a month, we'll have our new museum opening, and so we're very excited about that. But I do want to thank you all for this wonderful recognition. I'm really quite humbled. I refer to the book as the little book that could, because it's won 6 awards now. And it's our first Tolteca Press publishing with my husband, who was up here, and many community members are involved, and our lovely, lovely illustrator, Maida Mesa. So thank you again very much. Hopefully when you come to San Diego, you can stop by and visit. You can't miss it. It's right on the corner of where the Coronado Bridge and Interstate 5 meet up. So thanks again very much. Have a wonderful day.
Guilford Hall Penn Court, our next award recipient, was not the usual preservation project, as it involved the relocation of a historic property, and not for the first time in the building's history. This final move proved noteworthy, as it saved Guilford Hall from demolition, restored it to its historic identity as a home, and was the result of active community involvement. Guilford Hall was originally built as a private home in 1893 for the Fensham family, one of the early families to settle the community of Whittier. In 1938, then owners the Kroner family sold the house to Whittier College, and the house was moved to the campus and renamed Guilford Hall. Until its closure in 2008, Guilford Hall served variously as the college's music department, a dormitory, printing shop, mail center, and warehouse. In 2008, the college applied for a demolition permit to make way for parking spaces. The nonprofit Whittier Conservancy, along with descendants of the Kroner family, successfully advocated for the building's historic significance, and demolition was put on hold. Whittier College ultimately agreed to forego demolition if the house was moved off campus, with the college contributing funds for the relocation effort. The community of Whittier came out in support to watch the midnight parade as the house was moved down the street to its new location. Heritage Housing Partners restored the house, complying with the Secretary of the Interior's standards throughout. Guilford Hall was returned to its original use as a home and made the centerpiece of Guilford Penn Court, a cluster of 8 new affordable housing single-family homes. The project was a win-win for the community, the college, and preservation. I guess that would be a win-win-win, right? For preserving a valued part of Whittier's heritage while providing quality housing for present and future residents, we are pleased to recognize Guilford Hall Penn Court project with a 2021 Governor's Historic Preservation Award.
Good afternoon. My name is Helen Rader. I'm the executive director of the Whittier Conservancy, which is a small nonprofit very actively pursuing preservation and quality development and neighborhood housing and cohesive city planning so that the entire neighborhood and the entire built environment is honored. I want to thank State Parks and the SHPO's office for this award. This is our third Governor's Award over the past 30 years, and we work very hard at what we do. This was a collaborative effort, and I appreciate the presentation, which can't, in this time frame, encapsulate the fact that this was a 10-year effort from the time the college said, we need parking spaces and we're bulldozing this building, to the amount of work that went in, not just to save this piece of Whittier's history, Richard Nixon's hometown, but to do it against all odds and against pushback from so many directions. And what is so marvelous about this was a collaborative effort among the city, the developer, Charles Loveman, and the Conservancy. But in the middle of all this came the demise of redevelopment, the crash in the housing market, all of these things, so that we were starting over again like every 18 months and doing it with different elected officials and having to start all over. So it was a 10-year effort, and finding Charles Loveman in Pasadena was a godsend, and having people on the council who actually got it was a miracle. And having Whittier College, which, by the way, did not contribute to the move, having my alma mater, having them at least put demo in hold because we held them CEQA hostage, worked very well. And anyway, it was a marvelously long, enduring project. And what I appreciate about all of you here is that you get it, because we're usually on the other side of the podium saying, you gotta be kidding. And now, being in a room full of people that get it, it is an amazingly heartfelt experience where you don't have to scream and fight, and you get it. And I get it, and we appreciate that you get it. Thank you very much.
Preserving a tangible part of local heritage was taken to new heights, quite literally, with the Paramount Theater of the Arts facade restoration project. Designed by legendary Bay Area architect Timothy L. Pfluger in 1930, the Paramount Theater of the Arts, a National Historic Landmark located in Oakland, is one of the few remaining large Art Deco movie halls in the United States. The theater's signature mosaic-tiled facade soars to over 100 feet above street level and includes a vertical blade sign bearing the name Paramount in neon lettering. The mosaics, framed by maroon and gold tiles and designed by Gladding McBean and Company, depict male and female figures overseeing scenes of the performing arts. A facade survey in 2018 determined that while much of the mosaic was in excellent condition, ultraviolet degradation of previous repairs, as well as spalling of the chevron-shaped tiles flanking the mosaics, had negatively impacted the facade. In 2019, work began to repair and stabilize the terracotta tiles and restore the blade sign. Replacement of the terracotta with a wider joint between the tiles prevented friction spalling while maintaining the original design intent and appearance. Gladding McBean used the original maroon glaze formula, so replacement terracotta was fully matched with the original. Small copper roofs at the top of the mosaics were removed, refurbished, and waterproof membrane added before reinstalling. Work on the iconic blade sign included patching corroded sections, recoating the sign, and reinstalling the neon lights, most of which are original to the 1930 construction. The Paramount Theater holds a central role in the life of Oakland, hosting citizenship ceremonies, high school graduations, and other community events. The restoration effort has ensured that this treasured link to the city's gilded past will continue to serve the community well into the future. It is our pleasure to present the Paramount Theater of the Arts Facade Restoration Project with a 2021 Governor's Historic Preservation Award.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. We'd like to thank the Office of Historic Preservation for bearing with us as we went through the process of preparing the nomination packet. I'd also like to thank the City of Oakland, the Paramount Theater of the Arts, as the owner and steward of this wonderful property, Jampolini Courtney as the restoration contractor, and finally McGinnis Chin Associates as the architect of record. One of the things that stood out to me as someone relatively new to the Bay Area was how much everybody loves the Paramount Theater. It's something that unites everyone regardless of how much they love the arts. Everyone has a wonderful story about the Paramount, and it's been a wonderful honor to be part of this repair program, which started out as just a survey to see if we could fix some tiles, and it became what it ended up being in late 2020. And now more than ever, we need the arts. We need to bring people together, and the Paramount Theater is the perfect place for it. So, as we said, the show must go on. Thank you again. It was a real labor of love. Thank you.
As we've seen with the projects we've been honoring today, it is the human stories and connections behind historic resources that make them a treasured part of our collective heritage and that fuels the work of preservation. It seems fitting, therefore, to conclude our awards presentation with Unsung Heroes of Hearst Castle, a project that celebrates the people behind one of California's treasured historic resources. In 2019, staff at Hearst Castle prepared to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the start of the castle's construction and 28-year building odyssey. The centenary would honor the vision and dedication of William Randolph Hearst and architect Julia Morgan. The Unsung Heroes Project provides an opportunity to highlight the builders, designers, artisans, and craftspeople who made the Hearst Castle vision a reality, but whose names and efforts are largely unknown to the greater public. Unsung Heroes of Hearst Castle uses a three-prong approach to reach the widest possible audience, both in person and online. The Unsung Hero videos, produced for social media and the Smithsonian Learning Lab, focus on people who might not have directly spoken or written about their experiences, but were described and observed by others. Today's Voice from Our Past, which are quotes shared on social media, are drawn from primary sources, frequently using direct quotations from letters, telegrams, oral histories, autobiographies, and print media interviews. The 3D window exhibit in the Hearst Castle Visitor Center allows for a dynamic visual experience and the chance to absorb as much or as little information as the visitor desires. This approach to exploring the same subject was unprecedented in the history of the San Luis Obispo State Park District's interpretation practices. Staff who often work in separate sections from each other were able to come together as a team to collaboratively create the project. And the project's focus was expanded to include present-day staff who do the important work of conservation, restoration, and groundskeeping at the castle. Unsung Heroes of Hearst Castle enriches the understanding and appreciation of an iconic California resource and is well-deserving of a 2021 Governor's Historic Preservation Award.
The Unsung Heroes project started as a seed planted during the planning committee meeting for Hearst Castle's 100th anniversary that we were to celebrate in 2020. Then COVID hit. The castle closed. But what was the Hearst Castle staff and guides doing during that time? Deborah Mendenhall, not present today, scoured historical correspondence and telegrams for inspirational quotes which developed into today's Voices from the Past. These were distributed as daily emails throughout the district and eventually became part of a social media project. I, Sharon Foltz, was tasked to create a brand new interpretive exhibit at the Visitors Center, featuring the designers, builders, and the craftsmen who actually built the castle. And our museum director, Cara O'Brien, enlisted Sherry Fortino and Mike Smothers, also not able to be here today, to create collections for Smithsonian's Learning Lab and social media. The 30 videos were inspired by them to bring inclusion and diversity into the Hearst Castle story.
We'd like to thank our followers on social media and YouTube, and you can follow along on YouTube at Hearst Castle and uncover the stories. But the stories would be nothing without the people that put so much work into uncovering. So we'd like to thank our guides, our restoration, our groundskeepers, our administrators that help with all the purchasing, and all our team at the San Luis Obispo Coast District and the planning team for Hearst Castle's centenary. We'd also like to thank our superintendents, Dan Fellett and John Fairweather, for believing in us and allowing us to go in a kind of virtual direction when we didn't have our regular jobs to do. We're really grateful for that, making that vision a reality. On behalf of all the staff at Hearst Castle and the San Luis Obispo Coast District who contributed to this work, we'd like to thank Governor Newsom. We'd like to thank Director Armando Quintero. We'd like to thank the Office of Historic Preservation for recognizing this significant endeavor. And go ahead and follow us on YouTube. Thank you.
Developed, and they were an extraordinarily personal experience. I mean, really looking at the work that you did, excuse me, it felt like I was sitting in the room with Julia Morgan. It looked like she had just finished her sketches and left them on the table and left the room. I mean, it is an amazing experience, and I think that you just witnessed what I see in many state park employees, which is humility and hardly a glimpse into the wisdom that is behind the job titles. I mean, the talent, and I also think that this is reflective of everyone. You know, we get defined by our job titles, yet we don't get the opportunity sometimes to find out the power, the knowledge, the skills that are behind the person. And I think that with what, you know, earlier I made the comment that when I was there, and I think it was because of your exhibits, that we were just struck by all the human hours in the creation of all the things that you see at Hearst Castle. But I also think that the experience of a place like that allows people to go home and continue to reflect on that, which ends up connecting them to the very things that we are here to celebrate and congratulate you on. Thank you.
These are the days where it is so joyous to come to work because we get to celebrate all the things you do every day and how hard you work to steward our resources. When I was a little girl, my parents had a station wagon and a tent and 3 bratty kids, and we were campers of state parks. Those were our vacations, our holidays, where our memories were made. And when I saw Hearst Castle as an 8-year-old girl, I fell in love. And it really is the basis for me being in this work. Julia Morgan has always been such a hero of mine, and how that tiny little woman could boss around the richest man in the world is just a fascinating story we still haven't found. I just want to extend, on behalf of our office and the amazing staff we have every day, I want to acknowledge and recognize Dan Barkley and Janon Saunders. If you see the ladies with the flowers, they are really responsible for the awards and today's ceremony and so many other things in our office, and please join me in thanking them for their hard work. On behalf of the governor and Director Quintero, I just want to thank you again, congratulate you. To everybody that joined us today, thank you so much for all the things that you do every day on the ground. We are so lucky to have this beautiful mosaic and these rich stories that make up our California, and I will remain honored to be your public servant. Thank you for being here today. And now enjoy.